dann bitte machen Sie die Handys aus. So there are still some technical problems. I'm very sorry about that. Personally, I can't fix it, but we will start in a minute. So, but I think we will just start now, and we will have a look. So maybe it works. Ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to the Urban Thinkers Campus, an international conference that is once again being organized by the city of Mannheim. Today and tomorrow, lectures, workshops, and virtual events will be offered in various urban labs. This year, the Urban Thinkers Campus focuses on the topics of gender equality, gender justice, and partnerships to achieve the goals. In Lab 16, we will spend the next 2 hours dealing with the topics of human trafficking and escape. In doing so, we focus on the question of how mechanisms of escape from war, sexual violence, exploitation, and human trafficking intertwine, and why women and girls in particular are at risk when fleeing. The war in Ukraine is forcing millions of women to emigrate with or without families. Since organized human trafficking is well networked internationally, victims often suddenly get caught up in the criminal structures and thus disappear from view. My name is Frauke Hess, and I would like to introduce our speakers. From Ukraine, Tscherniwzi, Mrs. Lyubov-Bejan. She's director of the City Center for Social Services. Mrs. Bejan, you are with us? Maybe I can have just a short feedback if you are with us now. So we have from Lithuania, Kaunas, Mrs. Kristina Mishinin. You are with us?
Yes, hello.
She works at the hello, how nice. She works at the Center Against Human Trafficking and Exploitation. So we have from Poland, Wrocław, Marta Lempert, lawyer and activist. Marta, hi. Nice to meet you. So fine to have you here with us. From the Republic Moldova, Chisinau, Mr. Boris Bilka. I see you. Hi.
Very pleased
fine to have you here. Head of Chisinau City Health and Social Assistance Department. And again from Poland, Bydgoszcz, Adam Duchak, head of the Crisis Management Department of the City Hall of Bydgoszcz. So, but our first call goes to Ukraine. So, once again, the question, do we have a connection to Ukraine right now? Is Mrs. Lyubov-Bejan with us? I can't see her and I can't find her at the moment.
Can you hear me now? I'm the interpreter for Mrs. I'm the interpreter for Mrs. Bejan. So we are going to interpret her speech from Ukrainian into German.
Okay.
So we are in contact with Mrs. Bejan, but as she doesn't understand any English, she's not on this platform, as we had to find a kind of creative solution for this technical issue.
Okay, so warmly welcome. It's great that you fixed it. It's great that you made it possible. So warmly welcome to Ukraine. We are very happy to have you here with us. Allow me a personal note in the beginning. We all feel with you, with the people of Ukraine, and we all hope that this terrible war will end as soon as possible. Tscherniwzi is a sister city of Mannheim. Just a few weeks ago, in a special session, the city council decided in favor of this town twinning, primarily to help refugees from Ukraine, but also to express unlimited solidarity with the Ukraine. We are witnessing a terrible war in Ukraine these days, a war with all its facets, including human trafficking. We hear about gangs of people smugglers targeting women and girls in the border districts. But we also hear about terrible things. For example, that Russian soldiers attack women and girls and use rape as a weapon of war. What can you tell us about it?
Guten Tag, rum an die Ukraine.
Maybe you can speak up a little.
Ihnen die Wahrheit sagen. Jeden Tag können Sie genauso wie wir die Nachrichten verfolgen. Sie sehen, was mit den Kindern, mit den Frauen passiert.
Hello, hello
Ich möchte
everybody.
mich gleich dafür entschuldigen, dass ich möglicherweise sehr emotional sein werde. Es ist nicht einfach für mich, darüber zu sprechen.
Das verstehen wir sehr gut.
Wir sind die Stadt und die Region in der Ukraine, die möglicherweise die kleinste Zahl der Flüchtlinge aufgenommen hat. Dennoch gibt es Maßnahmen zum Schutz vor Human Trafficking.
Wenn ich kurz dolmetschen darf ins Englische.
Anhand der Ereignisse, die im Osten stattfinden.
So maybe thank you very much. Maybe we have a little break now and have the English translation, please.
Das russische Gebiet. Und es ist uns bewusst, dass die Zahlen horrend sein werden. Es ist wirklich sehr dramatisch.
So please allow me for the interpretation.
Sehr viele Menschen sind zu Opfern von Menschenhandel geworden sind. Die Menschen, die zu uns in die Region Tscherniwzi gekommen sind, die weitergereist sind, darüber werden wir später erst viel hören werden. Freiwillige arbeiten bei uns werden Maßnahmen zur Obhut und zum Weitertransport getroffen. Dennoch gibt es auch unangenehme Vorfälle.
So please allow me to translate right now. Hello everybody.
Auch damit zusammen, dass wenn wir über die Einwohner unserer Stadt sprechen, so
maybe now we can have the English translation.
Über offizielle Transportunternehmen. Alles wurde anhand der früheren Erfahrungen organisiert. Daher gibt es keine offiziell bestätigten Fälle des Menschenhandels. Ich möchte meine Kollegen loben, auch Mitarbeiter der Gemeinde, die sich um die Flüchtlinge aus dem Osten gekümmert haben. Es wurden Kontakt hergestellt mit den entsprechenden Botschaften, damit unsere Bürger entsprechende Dienstleistungen bekommen können.
So, if you please allow me to translate right now.
Ich sage noch einmal, uns liegen keine Zahlen vor zum Menschenhandel, aber ich möchte noch einmal wiederholen, wahrscheinlich werden wir diese Zahlen erst später bekommen. Wenn wir darüber sprechen, weshalb die Situation jetzt so ist, so möchte ich sagen, es ist natürlich sehr positiv, dass die Situation zumindest in unserer Region so positiv ist. Und dieses positive Ergebnis konnten wir nur dadurch erreichen, dass alle Teilnehmer, alle Behörden abgestimmt gehandelt haben. Ich möchte mich bedanken bei allen gemeinnützigen Organisationen in Europa, weltweit, die uns dabei unterstützt haben, die sich um die Logistik gekümmert haben, damit wir unsere Bürger weiter transportieren können und dafür sorgen können, dass sie in Europa das neue Zuhause finden. Wenn Sie es mir erlauben, dann würde ich jetzt direkt zu meiner Präsentation gehen.
Maybe before you start the presentation, bevor Sie mit der Präsentation beginnen, maybe we can have the translation in English now. First of all, maybe we can have it.
До презентації я хочу попросити, можливо, була б презентація, переклад англійською мовою.
She said she can also do the translation into the English language. We can do
this would be better, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want that I translate into English, or do you want that somebody else, or do you have somebody who will translate into English?
Actually, I don't care who, but we should talk English in this conference, so that we can reach everyone and that everyone can follow us.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'll interpret into English.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just hold on for a second.
Could
I just translate? Could I just translate the first part you said into English briefly, and then you continue with a presentation? Could we do that?
Yes, sure.
This would be great.
Хвилиночку, бо хочуть, щоб переклад відбувався англійською мовою, і оскільки я початок перекладала німецькою мовою, то тепер хтось там швиденько у короткій формі передасть те, що я сказала німецькою мовою, і потім ви продовжуєте.
So just a second. In the meantime, I translate into English. Hello, everybody, and please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Lyubov, and I hope you allow me that I'm very emotional when I talk about it. You all watch the news. You watch the news worldwide. You watch the news. What's going on in the Ukraine and everything, and our town, the city of Tscherniwzi, has been receiving many refugees who pass here. Although we have the smallest number of refugees which we have received, we have implemented measures in order to forward them, and so we also consciously implemented measures against human trafficking, because we are aware of the victims, of the vulnerability of the people and of the people in the region. So we are very well aware. I'm very grateful to the employees and also to the authorities in our town, in our city, who really are very well set and cooperating. That we do not have any numbers of victims of human trafficking. So in total, we do not have any numbers, but the situation here can be deemed to be positive. But the figures, we do not have any figures yet, but we will have figures, as time goes on, and we will see all the results. And we thank and we are very grateful to all the non-governmental organizations in Europe and worldwide who have provided the logistics for us really to forward our Ukrainian citizens to the West, for them to find a new home in Western Europe. So thank you very much for that. So without any further ado, so I hand over to Lyubov.
Продовжуйте.
Yes.
So maybe you can start the presentation now.
To emphasize that the coordinator in our Tscherniwzi region The coordination is taking place on the basis of the military administration, and various authorities are cooperating with each other. We still are discovering people who have become victims of fraud, according to the ministry. Ви дуже швидко говорите, трохи повільніше. I would like to give you some numbers which we have from the Ministry of Social Development of Ukraine. From 2012 until May, до якого травня, якого? Until the middle of May 2022, in the region of Tscherniwzi, we gave the status of victims of human trafficking to 36 persons. All persons who have this status, the status of a victim of human trafficking, are receiving qualified support and help according to their needs, and one-off financial payment, according to the resolution of the Ukrainian ministry, cabinet of Ukrainian ministers. I would like to emphasize that the department of the region of Tscherniwzi was the first authority in Ukraine to initiate changes into the program of the regional development in order to increase this one-off payment from 2 to 5 minimum monthly gauges for these for people with this status. As for the organization of informational and educational events, in order to enhance the awareness of the population, especially for the youth. And when it is about the modern aspects of the human trafficking, and as for the methods which are used by human traffickers. So I would like to mention that lectures are taking place and also meetings with conversations, trainings with the school children on different topics of human trafficking and preventing it and combating it. Usually, we start such measures beginning from the kindergarten, and we educate very young children on this topic in form of playing, but we work also with school children. We work with professional educational schools and also with higher schools and universities. And in parallel, we work also with leisure centers. We are performing it together with non-commercial organizations which we have in Tscherniwzi. On top of that, we organize regular meetings with citizens of our community. especially also with refugees, in order to enhance the awareness of the population, notably of the youth. We organize meetings also in job centers where young people come in order to have a job. And also in shelters. There are also special measures under participation of the police in order to shape trust towards the police, and in order that the police are able to explain in detail what can be done in order to protect herself or himself from becoming a victim of human trafficking. There's one more very important aspect when it goes about preventing human trafficking. Mass media coverage. Our psychologists and notably employees of our center and employees of social services, and I am one of them, cover the problems and the negative aspects. And there's a coverage on TV, on radio. And we work also via social media like Facebook, Instagram. We are doing it, but also non-profit organizations in our city. And also the departments of our city administration are taking care of this too. All the involved parties who are working on combating human trafficking. These coverage of information is a very important part of our work. And on top of that, we provide also topical leaflets, video recordings, and also we cover real-life stories from witnesses. What is also very important is to provide and to sustain a hotline which is available 7/24. Since last year, since May last year, we have set up a telephone counseling. And citizens, our people, can use this hotline if they have become victims of violence. Very often, if people get in a difficult life situation, if people are not aware of the possibilities how to protect themselves, it's an easy play to become a victim. And for that reason, it is very important to provide professional counseling in order that everybody knows how to protect him or herself. On top of that, with the assistance of the UN Foundation, in our Tscherniwzi community, we have a center for psychological and psychic supporting for victims of home violence and for victims of gender violence. But starting from the 24th of February of this year, starting from the beginning of this war, 16 people could receive shelter in the crisis center. And currently, 11 persons are in this center, and among them is one handicapped person and 4 children. And just in short, I would like to inform you of the sort of help we are providing for refugees. And I will speak not only about the refugees who are in the crisis center, but also about the refugees who are on the whole, in generally, in our city. Primarily, it is a psychological support what we are providing. We are providing also legal counseling. I would like to emphasize that in our city of Tscherniwzi, with the assistance of UNICEF, starting from the 1st of April, we have set up a multidisciplinary professional group. And among the professionals of this group, there is one social professional, a psychologist, a lawyer, a medical professional, and a driver. Their role is to provide emergency counseling. They are the people who meet the incoming refugees on railway stations, on bus stations. Refugees who are coming in our region from the eastern part of Ukraine. And they need such services. Some refugees are redirected to a shelter where emergency psychological support is provided. Some people receive help in order to be able to travel further on into another country. And after that, the work is organized within the shelters where refugees live. And on top of that, our professionals travel to the border and they provide informational support and legal counseling. And they provide also information on the contact data of embassies where people can ask for help. And they provide also contact information on non-profit organizations which are reliable in order that the refugees do not become victims of human trafficking.
So thank you very much for your words and for these impressions you gave us. Just one more short question. What is your situation at the moment now?
Entschuldigung,
In
ganz
which
kurz,
situation you are in now?
Entschuldigung, kurzen Augenblick. Unsere Zoom-Verbindung ist jetzt zu Ende. Ich muss sie neu starten.
Okay, so maybe we switched, maybe we hear us later with this question again. So maybe we switch now to Poland. And I welcome Adam Duciak. Are you with us? Can you hear us? I think I saw you already.
Hello. I can hear.
Genau. Bydgoszcz in Poland also is a sister city to Mannheim. What are your experience in this context? How many refugees have you in your town? Do you notice sexual violence? How can you help women and girls?
Teraz ma pan głos.
Mr. Duciak?
Słyszy pan?
You are ready?
Gotowy jest pan?
Tak, jestem gotowy.
Ich bin da auch bereit. Hören Sie mich?
Okay. Herr Pacholski, vielleicht, maybe you can speak up a little louder, maybe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Вам хотіли були поставити запитання, але мені не вдалося швидко знову налаштувати Zoom-з'єднання, і з цієї причини відклали запитання, яке хотіли вам поставити на пізніше. Ваша презентація так закінчилася, але можливо, що будуть до вас запитання пізніше.
Niech pan przedstawi tę sytuację u was.
Okej, bo mam problemy jakieś tutaj na łączach, ale już okej, już.
Ich habe momentan Probleme hier mit der Verbindung, aber das klappt jetzt schon.
Ja, also wir können Sie hören. Wenn Sie ein bisschen lauter sprechen könnten, wäre das großartig. If you speak up a little louder, it would be great. But we can hear you.
Coś mi przerwało, sekundę, jeszcze muszę połączyć się jeszcze raz.
Eine Unterbrechung, da muss die Verbindung neu hergestellt werden.
Хвилиночку, мені треба зв'язок встановити, і після цього ми можемо продовжувати. Це вже переклад того, що відбувається.
So if we have problems with the connection to Poland,
якщо у нас проблеми із зв'язком,
maybe we switch to Moldavia.
Może przełączmy się w tej chwili do Mołdawii, aż pan będzie miał znowuż połączenie.
Halo?
Okay.
Przełączmy się może do Mołdawii w tej chwili, bo panu nie słyszeli.
Dobrze, okej, to ja poczekam tutaj, bo coś się zawiesiło na połączeniu. Dobrze, okej.
So shall we switch to the Republic of Moldavia, to Boris Gilka, and you check your connection during the time. So warmly welcome, Boris Gilka. Chisinau also is a sister city of Mannheim. We are very happy to have you here with us. You are head of the Chisinau City Health and Social Assistance Department. Maybe you can give us an input of your situation in Moldavia. How many refugees do you have in your country? How's the situation in your city? And What experiences do you have on danger of human trafficking or sexual violence in context of this crisis? I already saw that you will show us some pictures, so I hope we can start it.
Thank you, colleagues. It's my pleasure to be today with all of you. Warm regards and warm greetings from Chisinau, the capital city of the Republic of Moldova. Yes, my name is Boris Gilka. I'm head of City Health and Social Assistance Department. And unfortunately, we had this experience with war in Ukraine and hosting from the first day, from 24 February, hosting refugees from Ukraine, from the border points between Moldova and Ukraine. Actually, I prepare a PowerPoint presentation and hope, I don't know if somebody can help me to move or how I can move my slides. If you can upload my presentation.
So we will ask our technical support to start your presentation, please. So could you please start the presentation of Mr. Boris Gilka now?
Thank you.
This would be great. So I hope, because I've already seen it and it would be so nice to see your pictures. So I hope we can make it possible to show the pictures. Mr. Gilka, maybe you can start it on your own. Can you see a button?
Yes, I will start, and maybe some your colleagues can help us with this presentation, just to show it on the screen. Again, colleagues, I want to introduce out actually tragic experience in helping Ukrainians and trying to help Ukraine friends and colleagues coming to Moldova from the first day of the war in Ukraine. As of February 24, Chisinau City Hall, because I'm working for Chisinau City Hall, actually Chisinau City Hall deployed all municipal services and departments to support people affected by conflict in Ukraine who just have crossed the border. And National Exposition Center has become a refugee, first refugee shelter in Chisinau. Actually was the first shelter in Moldova. And the same day, we turned into that temporary shelter for displaced Ukrainians. It was a shelter, the biggest shelters in Chisinau and in Moldova, around 940 beds. And under support of Chisinau General Mayor, Chisinau City Hall allocated 10 million Moldavian leis. This is about €500,000 in the same day by decision of Commission for Exceptional Situation in order for proper management of refugee crisis. And right from the beginning of refugee influx, there was a great mobilization from the community, from the person, from the organization, from the municipal department to support refugees. I'm really sorry that we cannot see the pictures.
I'm so sorry too about the pictures. So maybe once again I ask for technical support, and maybe someone from the organizers can start your presentation.
Okay.
I can't do it, so I'm so sorry, but so maybe we can make it possible.
Okay. Anyway, If no, you can resend. I can resend my presentation laterally to all colleagues via regular email.
Yeah, for sure. This is a possibility anyway, but I think we will fix it in a minute. So just hold on, and I think we are able to fix it. Yeah.
Just to continue, Moldova hosts more than 450,000 refugees till now from Ukraine, of whom about 70 persons arrive via crossing points in the south part from Odessa direction, Nikolaev, Kherson, and about 30 persons came from crossing point in the north part coming from Vinnytsia and Tscherniwzi region and Kiev. In total, about 25,000 people arrive in the country every day during the first week of the crisis. Imagine like for a country like Moldova, which is a very small country, as you know, how is for a country like Moldova to organize all logistic, transportation, reception, transit, accommodation for about more than 10% of its population. And we had the largest influx of refugees in terms of per capita figure of all country receiving refugees till now. This is why, because Moldova is a small country, we have just a country with 2.9 million, but being physically present in the country, about 2 million only. Our team from Chisinau City Hall mobilized quickly to carry out needs assessment along the border and in reception centers in Chisinau, the capital city. Our first action concerned to deployment of municipal public transportation buses to border control points, in addition to buses provided from the government and from Romanian authorities in order to transport refugees to reception centers in Chisinau. And Chisinau City Hall has also contacted, this is very important, we contracted security services in all our shelters for refugees. It was a private security services, hiring security aimed to combat cases of violence, including potential sexual assault and other kind of violence in refugees communities and in shelters. Yes, it was reported limited cases of sexual assault in some shelters, but these security services, we actually hired them. They provide an excellent job, and frankly, we manage well, I think, on this situation. Also, we organize 24 hours medical points for medical check and medical consultation and services for refugees, both for adults and children. Mayor office procured and provided necessary equipment and medicine, drugs for provision of medical assistance. All services, outpatient and hospital medical services for refugees was until now, all of them are free of charge. We organize hot meals, well-secured playgrounds for interactive activities with kids, counseling and psychological activities for adults and children. Just to mention that in the first 3 weeks of the crisis, starting in 24 February till 15 of March, the flow of refugees was the highest, and accommodation was insufficient at that time. Respectively, we in the City Hall expanded our accommodation shelters for for refugees, up to, attention, 45 shelters with total capacity of 4,000 beds. The functional rule of accommodation was first come, first served, as at any subordinated shelters where we have free beds. Because most of the refugees were female and mother with children, we in Chisinau City Hall decided to organize a separate shelter, big shelter, namely maternal center, for separate accommodation with good condition with full compliance for security. And this was a very good practice of Chisinau and of Moldova in general. Also, I want to mention that about 80% of refugees still are hosted by local families, and many of them are not related to each other. They just came, and just Moldavians family brings them and they family. Chisinau City Hall trained and involved about 600 volunteers in support of refugee services and all logistical arrangement, including volunteers from NGOs. My department for Health and Social Assistance, has added almost 200 staff to help refugees and support the work, providing full 24 hours assistance. Until now, they are working in shifts, 24 hours, helping with everything, with registration, with accommodation, with guidance, with meals, with psychological support, with employment services, guidance for local employment, legal assistance, and all services related to transportation to other country in Europe. All shelters were organized as multifunctional centers with support services for refugees, as I mentioned, including food, medical services, consultation for employment, refugee transport abroad, counseling, activities with children, medical services. And also we organized a big warehouse for goods, food and hygiene boxes are distributed on daily basis to all refugees, not for all refugees living in Chisinau or staying in Chisinau, around Chisinau in suburban area, and also in different districts of Moldova. You can see, or you will see lately in my presentation, some related and documented actually pictures. In providing transportation services abroad, actually related to our topic today, or to our meeting topic, this is very important. In providing transportation services abroad, we actually opted for organizing transportation in large group, not individual, but in large group, by bus, train, or airplane, in order to prevent possible cases of trafficking, violence, including sexual exploitation. We didn't support transportation of refugees on individual basis, in some occasional or in private cars, just to be, just driver and young women around. And I think this is working well. Transportation in large group, in well or organized large group. High attention paid to potential trafficking of people, potential sexual exploitation. Actually, I'm very happy to report that we in Moldova, in Chisinau, such issue didn't document it. So we actually have no any cases reported on potential sexual exploitation. And this is very good, I think. But we take all this, let's say, measure for prevention, as I mentioned earlier, with security services in shelters, with transportation, of course, with large informational campaign and discussion with refugees, especially young women. Chisinau City Hall actually does not report the information about human trafficking at this moment for the purpose of sexual exploitation of refugees from Ukraine. And actually, I think this is, again, it's very good. We in Chisinau, we in Moldova, actually open our borders, homes, and head to all Ukrainian refugees fleeing the war in Ukraine. I think both solidarity and resilience will be more challenging in the week ahead. Many refugees are still operating under the assumption that the war will be ending soon. A fact that has made a difficult situation more tolerable, but also prevented some from coming to terms with their new life. Actually, many refugees say they are in Moldova and they remain in Moldova precisely because it will be much easier for them to return immediately to the place from which they fled to Chisinau. And from this point of view, personally, I'm going to all shelters on daily basis. I established a very good communication, and I had my daily contact with refugees. And I want to mention that many of them express they're willing to stay in Chisinau, especially in Moldova, and returning back immediately as will be possible, because for example, from Chisinau to Odessa, you can be just in 2.5 hours. This is very easy way. And here in Chisinau is an understanding and feeling of course, of empathy for all Ukrainians refugees. Colleagues, I provided some pictures in my presentation just to have some illustrative materials. Unfortunately, from technical reason, it was impossible to present my visual presentation, but I will send immediately after that meeting to all of you, including in the email communication. From my personal part, I want to thank all Ukrainians. I want to appreciate their courage and exceptional force to end the war, because definitely Russian army, Putin is a criminal, and we want to end this war as soon as possible. We will support and we will be close to all Ukrainians as much will be needed. I will provide this support from my City Health Department to everyone. Refugees will stay here in Moldova for medium or for long term. And thank you very much for all partners, for all international organizations. Thank you very much for the city of Mannheim for also conveying this meeting, on sharing experience, and for all support provided to Ukrainians.
Mr. Boris Gilka, very thank you very, very much for this, for your speech. And I think you are really doing a brilliant job at the moment there. And so sorry that we couldn't see the pictures, but I think we will do like you said, we will send your presentation per mail, and I hope we will see us soon again, maybe in this round. But before we answer questions, I would like to try again to call to Poland, and maybe we have Adam Ducek jetzt with us. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I hear you.
Słyszy mnie pan?
So maybe you can speak up a little, just speak a little louder so we can hear you better. So I don't know if Mr. Ducek had a presentation.
Miał pan prezentację, tak? Ja.
Beg your pardon?
Wenn die Möglichkeit besteht, dann soll man die vielleicht gleich aufspielen auf dem.
Okay. So now we would like to have, I just
Zumal
asked,
die inzwischen auch in deutscher Sprache ist.
Yeah, I just asked our technical support if we can have the presentation of Adam Ducek from Poland, and he will give us an impression of how many refugees he has they have in their town, and what do they notice about sexual violence and how they can help women and girls. So
okay, just a second. I try to open the presentation from Mr. Ducek. I think I finish soon.
Okay, so let's hope the best. So maybe we can see immediately the presentation. But anyway, maybe you can start already, Mr. Ducek. Maybe you can start your speech, so we will start the presentation as soon as possible.
Ich werde das jetzt simultan machen. Ich habe den Herrn Ducek auf der anderen Leitung.
Ja, aber Sie müssen Pausen einlegen, weil es dann ins Englische übersetzt werden muss, ne?
Okay. Będziemy musieli robić jakieś przerwy, bo ja zrobię to symultanicznie, ale z jakimiś tam przerwami, bo na angielski będzie musiało być tłumaczone. In Ordnung, okay.
It's all right.
Okay, proszę, niech pan rozpoczyna. Also herzlich willkommen. Es ist sehr angenehm, Sie alle hier zu treffen, die Partnerstädte hier zu sehen.
A warm welcome to all of you. It's very pleasant to meet you all there here, all the partner towns.
Nam też jest bardzo miło spotkać pana tutaj w mieście partnerskim. Ich sehe jetzt gerade die Präsentation, die in polnischer Sprache verfasst ist, aber das macht ja nichts.
We can just see, the presentation which had been drawn up in Polish language, but this does not matter because we have a simultaneous interpretation.
Also es gibt auch eine Präsentation in deutscher Sprache, wenn Sie die vielleicht hier auflegen könnten.
Ja, dann bemühen wir uns doch um die Präsentation in deutscher Sprache.
Das
ist dann vielleicht doch einfacher für die Übersetzung. Easier for the translation if you have it in German at least, if you don't have it in English. So maybe we can start it in German language.
Dann fangen wir mal an. Also ich spreche das. Dann legen Sie los, also die Präsentation, und dann übersetzen wir das, lassen wir das übersetzen.
So
also ich möchte damit anfangen, dass ich mich vorstelle.
I would like to get started with introducing myself to you.
Ich arbeite bei der Stadtverwaltung Bydgoszcz.
I'm working at the municipal administration of the city of Bydgoszcz.
Ich bin auch zuständig für die Betreuung von Flüchtlingen, die sich im Stadtgebiet aufhalten.
And I'm also responsible to take care
Zdanie
of the
po zdaniu, bo ona
refugees
tłumaczy to
who are
zaraz.
within the municipal area.
Tak. Dalej. Ich arbeite auch mit Studenten zusammen. Da besprechen wir auch die Sicherheitsfragen und alles, was damit zusammenhängt.
And I also work with students, with college students, and we also talk about all safety and security issues in this conjunction.
Sekunde. Ich befasse mich auch mit der häuslichen Gewalt und mit der Gewalt gegen die Frauen. Das ist auch mein.
And one part of my responsibility is also domestic violence and also violence against women.
Raz proszę. Also mit dieser Problematik befasse ich mich sowohl von meinem Beruf aus als auch privat.
And I deal with this problematics not only on the professional side, but also in my private life. I'm engaged.
Ich möchte die ganze Problematik in zwei zusammenhängenden Kontexten darstellen.
And would like to depict the entire problematics in two, coherent parts.
Der Kontext, das ist der statistische Kontext und der andere ist der organisatorische Kontext.
So on one side we have the statistical side, and on the second side the organizational problem, structure.
Die Herausforderungen, vor denen wir stehen, also die können Sie anhand dieser Statistiken sehen.
And the challenges we are facing result from these statistics I'm presenting to you.
Der Grenzschutz sagt, das ist der Stand am 18. Mai.
So, and we have here the status, or from what the border control says, it's the status of as of 18th of May.
Da wurde bis zu diesem Tag insgesamt 3,442 Millionen Personen haben die Grenze überschritten, die vor dem Krieg geflohen sind.
And as of this day, 3.442 millions of peoples, of refugees, had been registered who had been fleeing the war.
Nur innerhalb eines Tages am 18. Mai sind in die Ukraine ausgereist 26.000 Menschen aus der Ukraine ausgereist.
So just on this day, on the 18th of May, 26,000 of Ukrainians had fled through this border point.
Nicht alle dieser geflüchteten Personen halten sich noch in Polen auf. Einige von ihnen sind auch zurück in die Ukraine gegangen.
Not all of those refugees who entered the country stayed. Some already also returned to the Ukraine.
Und man kann sagen, so circa 70% dieser Personen sind auf dem Gebiet Polens geblieben.
We could say that rather 70% of all those persons remained on the territory of Poland.
Wenn man jetzt die Statistiken der UNO betrachtet, die in diesem Zusammenhang erstellt wurden.
If we have a look at the statistics issued by UNO, the United Nations, in this context,
dann kann man davon ausgehen, dass in der Europäischen Union sich vielleicht so 6,5 oder vielleicht sogar 7 Millionen Menschen aus der Ukraine befinden.
So based on this statistic, you can assume that within the territory of the EU, 6.5 or even 7 millions of Ukrainians are in European territory right now.
Sekunde. Also wir versuchen die Menschen, die sich in unserem Zuständigkeitsbereich befinden, irgendwie auf alle erdenkliche Art und Weise zu unterstützen. Sekunde.
And of course, we endeavor to provide support to the people who are within our scope of competence responsibility to support them in any means possible.
Wir Wir müssen auch dabei bedenken, dass das vor allem Frauen und Kinder sind.
And of course, you have to keep in mind that it's primarily women and children.
Und das hat eine große Bedeutung für die Gesamtbetrachtung des Problems.
And this has a huge significance in the entire picture when you have a look at it.
Der zweite Kontext ist
The second context?
Der Kontext, das ist der technische Art.
Jan, könntest du das wiederholen? Also du bist jetzt gerade ein bisschen...
Das ist der Kontext der technische und organisatorische Art.
Mm-hmm. So the next is the second issue is technical and organizational problem.
Das Problem besteht unter anderem darin, dass auf zwei Ebenen geschieht. Einmal auf der zentralen Ebene.
So the problem is that all those issues that they play on two different levels, and one is the central level and one is the local one.
Jeszcze raz, przepraszam, nie dosłyszałem. Die Rolle der Stadtselbstverwaltung, der Stadtverwaltung und der Nichtregierungsorganisationen ist, die Maßnahmen, die regionalen und die zentralen Maßnahmen zu ergänzen.
Mm-hmm. So, and the role the city plays here, the city administration here, is to add on to all the measures, all the actions taken by non-governmental organizations in terms of regional and local measures.
Dalej. Das hat dazu geführt, dass angesichts der großen Mengen an Personen, die bei uns einreisen,
and that led to the following moment that in view of this huge amount of people entering the country.
Jeszcze raz teraz, bo ona mówiła, nie dosłyszałem. Also das hat dazu geführt, die zentrale Betrachtungsweise des Problems hat dazu geführt, dass manche Maßnahmen nicht angepasst waren an die regionalen, an die örtlichen Verhältnisse.
So on the central approach to deal with this led to the point that some measures, some actions were actually not adjusted to the local conditions.
Dalej. Ich möchte hier von zwei Ebenen der Maßnahmen sprechen.
And I wanted to touch here two levels of actions taken.
Also die erste Ebene, das ist die Organisation von Sammelunterkünften und so weiter.
And the first level, that would be the organization of collective accommodation.
Sekunde. Und die zweite Ebene, das ist die Organisierung, die Beschaffung der Hilfe, die auf der Stelle sofort geleistet werden muss.
And the second level, that would be the organization and also, you know, the procurement of aid needed in an instant, immediately.
Dalej. Man musste auch die medizinische Versorgung der Geflüchteten sorgen, man müsste sie auch psychologisch betreuen, man müsste sie auf alle erdenkliche Art und Weise betreuen.
Then on the other hand, we had to provide medical health care for the refugees. Many needed psychological treatment and support, and also any type of other services and needs had to be met.
Dalej. Außerdem musste irgendwie die Unterstützung gewährleistet werden, dass diese Menschen die endgültigen Unterkünfte finden, in denen sie sich längerfristig aufhalten können.
And furthermore, we also had to provide them with assistance in obtaining a long-term accommodation where they could stay for a long period of time.
Dalej. Da gibt es das erste Problem. Das ist das Risiko, dass es dann dazu kommt, was das Thema unseres Treffens ist.
And this is one of the first problems, that it may come really actually to the risk, which is the topic of today's conference.
Dalej. Wir müssen auch dabei bedenken, dass es sich hierbei bei den Tätern nicht nur um die Kriminellen handelt, um die organisierte Kriminalität.
And you have to take into mind that the perpetrators, the culprits, are not only, delinquent criminal organizations.
Dalej. Auch die desaströse Lage der Ankommenden kann auch dazu führen, dass diese dann irgendwie von anderen Menschen missbraucht werden.
But in addition, also the disastrous condition of the arriving people can lead to them, being vulnerable to exploitation by people at site.
Wir gehen dabei folgende Massen vor. Wir überprüfen praktisch jeden, der die Hilfe und Unterstützung anbietet, damit da nichts schief läuft.
And we follow the following approach in this matter. We check every person, everybody who offers help and assistance.
Alle. Außerdem gehen wir jedem Hinweis nach, der uns sagt, dass die angebotene Hilfe über die erwartete Hilfe hinausgeht.
And furthermore, we follow up any indication, any hint that the offered help goes beyond the expected help.
Tak.
So, Mr. Ducek, thank you very much.
Wir müssen noch dabei bedenken, dass es nicht nur die sexuelle Ausbeutung ist, sondern auch Handel mit Arbeitskräften.
And what you have to keep in mind in this context is it's not only the sexual exploitation, but it's also a type of a trade with cheap labor.
Mr. Ducek, thank you very much for your speech from Poland and for the impressions. I don't want to interrupt you, but we should give the other speakers a chance to hear them too. So time is running a little. Thank you very much, and maybe we have the chance to come back to you later. But now I would like to call Lithuania, and I would like to welcome Kristina Mishin. Kristina, you are working in a center against human trafficking and exploitation in Kaunas. What are your experiences? What effects does the war in Ukraine have on the sexual explosion of women and girls, human trafficking, kidnapping, and violence against women? Maybe we can have your impression. So we would like to hear you, and once again we will try to start your presentation.
Hello once more. I also have one little slide. Maybe it's possible.
Just one little slide. So maybe we can get this one little slide from Lithuania, from Kristina, and we can show it. I have a look at our technical support, and I know they do the best. So there were very big technical problems yesterday here, and nearly everything is fixed now, but just nearly, not. Oh no. So Christina,
Okay.
I'm so sorry about that. So maybe you can just start your presentation anyway.
I will try.
And
I
we
will
will
try.
see. Maybe we can have a call like this again, and to have all your presentations, because it's I'm so sad about it. But Christina, now it's your turn.
No problem, no problem. I simply imagined that Germany is really perfect in technology. So yeah, okay. So I will try. So, I am from the NGO, and it means that we are kind of watchdogs, barking at governments and criticizing them a lot. So what I see from our point of view, so several words about my center. We work, we're a team of social workers, specialized social workers, psychologists and lawyers. We work with victims of human trafficking, of sexual violence, prostitution, and also now we started to work with refugees, with what was happening in their camps is really of big. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm the first here to have the slide. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so you see, it's worth praising Germany for technologies. So you receive it immediately. Thank you. So really, here you see some kind of statistics, what we have and what we work with. But I would not go very much inside, because I think really the time is running, and also this discussions would be good to hear. So, what we see now after 24th of February is the first thing that that shocks us is the scale of raped, traumatized, tortured people. And yes, Lithuania is as small as Moldova, and we have a lot of people coming here, and most of them, they are silent, and we know what happened to them, quite often not from their direct stories, but from other sources. So even in calm times, victims of rapes, they're not opening themselves freely. But what we really see, and what is important for me to point out, is that the rape, what we see after 24th of February, is more like torture. It involved, gang rapes. It involved humiliation. It involved family members watching what was happening to you, and etc., etc. We see also physical signs of, I would say, detrimental physical signs of these rapes. Mutilated genitals, infections, and I must be open, we also see unwanted pregnancies. So it's a lot of inner conflicts also for women, for supporters, how to provide help, and are we able really to provide adequate support to these victims? One more thing that really is shocking, and I must confess that we're not so much prepared to answer it, is that we see raped children, raped women, and also men. In my country, we absolutely are only starting from zero the support services for men who are victims of sexual assault. So it's I would say a challenge, really a challenge for us, and we are now pushing our government to be more fast in providing resources. You know, resources are really important in this field. It's not enough to have good intentions. You must have prepared social workers, prepared psychologists, etc., etc. So now it's really a challenge, and maybe the one good thing in this challenge, if we can find good things in this drama, is that alongside with the Ukrainian building the support system for the Ukrainians, we also are starting to build the support system inside the country in general for everybody. So it's quite positive. Well, if we can find positive things in tragedies. So and one more thing that I would like to point out, well, we in my team, well, we are specializing in not only providing social support, psychological support, but we also seek justice for victims. We work a lot in, you know, with police, with prosecutors, with judges. We are together with victims from the very beginning. We accompany them to investigation rooms, etc., etc. So here in this situation, well, we can offer Ukrainian women almost nothing. Where are these perpetrators? Where are these criminals? And women know this very well, and that's why it's difficult for them to open up because they do not believe that this justice can be achieved. I know that now a lot of really dozens of international groups are starting to involve. They are really working on very high levels, promising Ukrainian women justice, creating some international tools. But you know, if to look at ordinary women who are victims of that atrocious crime, really, I have no words to describe. I worked 22 years in this field, but still, really, I'm shocked at what I see and what I hear. So what we can offer these ordinary women, well, we can't lie to them. I don't know what justice they will receive, but in the whole process of healing, this judicial justice, legal justice, it should be achieved also. So, well, I call this a challenge. I don't know if this challenge will become something already, well, some tangible, some result. I don't know. Maybe we can speak about this in our discussion. But we are used to work that, well, a lot of investigations that around national women, Lithuanian women, about their rapes, they are being cancelled in process. We're used to this, but still also we have victories in courts. You know, we have jailed perpetrators. But here, I do not know really, and I would like also to hear your opinion. How shall we proceed in this field with victims of war, with victims of rape? So I really, there are maybe other points, but I will not take time because previous presentations were quite long. So thank you, and I'm really waiting for discussions.
So thank you very much. I loved the word watchdogs from your speech, and maybe we can pick that up later. So I would love to hear now Marta, and then time is running a little. So to me it's very important to hear Marta from Poland, lawyer and activist from Wrocław. We have heard a lot about the atrocities that women and girls are subjected to, about human trafficking, rape as a weapon of war, kidnapping and threats. Two questions for you, Marta. Is this talked about enough, and above all, loud enough in public? And what do you miss the most? What needs have to be done as soon as possible at European and international level? So Marta, it's your turn. I don't know if you have a presentation.
Yes, I've sent it, and I can also put it here, but I don't know how to share it, if it's possible. I also sent it to the tech team and on email, so I don't know if it's possible. But it's just photos, so we can just do it in the meantime. If the tech team can just work on it to somehow put it here, it would be great. If it's possible. And I just did something, I don't know.
Keep on trying, and maybe you just start with your speech, and we will keep on trying to start your presentation.
I think I can do it already, because it just allowed me to present, I think. Just a second, okay? Okay. Okay, but I cannot, yeah, I think it's too difficult for me, I'm sorry. No, that's not that.
So I just hear from our technical supporters. Maybe you can open it on your.
I think I'm doing this right now, but I don't know if you can see that, because when I started
but there we are. Is it yours?
Yes, I think so. I just don't see anything else now.
It's
when
open.
The presentation is on.
Okay.
So, yes, you can see that. Hello? Okay, I stopped hearing anything now. Hello, hello. Can you see the presentation?
So
please tell me.
You opened. Okay.
Can you see the presentation?
You can see it, so you can start.
Okay, so hello, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for listening to us. And Slava Ukraini, as we say now in Poland, and it's good that we say that all the time. Yeah, what you can see is our logo with the Ukrainian colors as a solidarity sign. So before I answer the questions, there's just a short, the short introduction. My organization is one of many organizations that has moved from doing our core work with human rights and with women's rights to humanitarian aid, to running humanitarian help points, because as you know, the number of newcomers from Ukraine in Poland is huge. And what is a factor here is also the fact that we don't have this huge refugee camps, almost none. Most of the people stay at people's homes. So as you can imagine, there is a huge risk of trafficking, of abductions, of the human trafficking in general. So that's the problem that when the war started, we actually didn't think of, and there was no information in the beginning about what can happen. We were all into this huge helping network, people going to the border, picking people up in their cars, driving them to Warsaw or some other big cities, but nobody thought of it. So I think it was about 2 weeks into the whole process when the first news started to spread that with this system that we don't have a system. We don't have the government doing anything. We don't have the government database. We don't know how many people are in Poland. We don't know where they are. We don't know their names. We don't know what's happening to them. Anything can happen to them. But it took us at least 2 weeks to realize that. And there was the first news. I'm sorry, I just have to close the door. So it was the first news that came, and it was published in magazines and newspapers and on televisions, that the system that we have is actually on a huge, is really carrying the risk of people being trafficked, of people being kidnapped, and so on, so on. And the situation is not better now. We are better, all the organizations, because you have to imagine that it's not humanitarian aid organizations, it's not the refugee organizations providing services to the newcomers, it's all non-governmental organizations in Poland. Most of the non-governmental organizations in Poland moved from their core work to providing assistance to the newcomers, because that's the situation now. And we are we're running 25 humanitarian aid points in Poland. And so there is a news coverage about the risk. There is an information now at the borders. There is information in the humanitarian aid points. But I still think the risk in Poland is huge because, as I said, of the fact that people are just staying at people's homes and there is no way to check what's happening to them or what happened to people who were located or relocated. So this is the first risk. I'm just showing the photos of how we've worked for the last, since the war started. So this is our office. Of course, we were organizing the protest because, as you know, the news of what's happened, we had, of course, information what's happening in Ukraine. We had information about the Russian monstrosity, about what was happening, but there was, in our feeling, the general ban on information about the scale of the war crimes committed by the Russian soldiers. Especially when it came to sexual violence. We had this, for a month at least, there was this quiet, this pressure on being quiet about it. And at some point, the news broke out. At some point, I guess the Ukrainian authorities also decided to release the information. And then it changed a little bit, the coverage, because then we had the media coverage, press coverage of the situations that happened in Russia, that happened in Ukraine, of the war crimes committed by Russians, but also about the fact that people who survived the sexual violence in Ukraine committed by Russians are coming now to Poland. And that's where it all opens up. Because as you know, we are a country that basically hates women. We are the worst place in Europe, I think, for sexual violence survivors to come and to get or try to get assistance. So what we're dealing with now, of course, we had protests about what's happening, especially when the war crimes information broke out. But this is the very little thing that we can do, because situation in Poland is that we cannot, even the biggest organizations, even the ones who have the most power, even the ones who have most connections, we cannot guarantee safety to the survivors. And we have to acknowledge that Poland is a country that bans abortion. Poland is the country that basically bans emergency contraception. Poland is the country where the fundamentalist religious groups are absolutely on full-blown campaign against women. And what actually happened was flyers and posters, I think 500,000 flyers being distributed at the borders and near the reception centers about abortion killing more Russians and Ukrainians than the war. And fake informations about that, the fact that abortion is banned in Poland. The information was fake because it's not banned totally. There are still 2 exceptions, and abortion is legal in the cases of rape, that were distributed by pro-life groups. So what we're looking at is the situation that, of course, we live in and we manage. For abortion, we have Abortion Without Borders, the collective that provides abortion out of the system. We have Federa, the organization that provides legal assistance to those who have this miserable situation of ending up in Polish hospitals. There are a few Polish hospitals that still don't kill women when they are pregnant, because that's the common thing in Poland, that when a woman is pregnant and abortion is needed, doctors will let her die. I'm sure you've heard of the cases that we have. So going into national healthcare system when a woman is pregnant is very dangerous to her in Poland. And the next thing that we have is, so we have Abortion Without Borders, we have Federa, we have Polish Women's Strike, so my organization that provides assistance, and especially providing information to people who, and also psycho and mental health and the psycho emergency helpline for the survivors. But what we have to acknowledge, and it's very hard for some people and some organizations in Poland, is that we're not the place that any victim, any survivor of the sexual violence should come and be. because what we are looking at, what the risk that we are looking at now is that, okay, I will stop the presentation. I don't know how to, okay, it stopped, I think. The risk that we're looking at now is the first case of the Balkan type crazy Catholic anti-women campaign, because any survivor from Ukraine trying to get help in Polish hospital is absolutely under the threat of her data, her name, her photo, her location being released, not by the hospital, by the state services, to pro-life groups. We are on the verge of this kind of campaign happening to any of the survivors that they will put their hands on the data of. So this is quite scary situation for me. This is quite scary situation for us, but we have to say it openly. We cannot, there's no way, absolutely no way to guarantee any safety to people, to sexual violence survivors coming to Poland, getting to Polish hospitals, because we've seen that a lot of times. Hospitals release the data of people needing abortion to pro-life groups, to the media, to the priests, and the people are absolutely attacked. Sometimes people needing abortion are actually detained by the police for so long that they cannot have abortion anymore. So that's what will at some point happen to any of the survivors coming to Poland. So now to the needs. We need the bridge over Poland, just skipping Poland for that as much as is possible. We need foreign organizations, West organizations, to have direct connections with Ukrainian organizations, with Ukrainian hospitals, with Ukrainian authorities, so people don't end up in Poland. Because we do what we can here, and we will do what we can to prevent the survivors from being attacked and dragged and re-victimized and destroyed, which will happen if their data is leaked. And it will be leaked by the state, because the state has leaked my data. I found out I have COVID from the national television. They made a special about an hour special that I have COVID and I should die. That's the public national television in Poland. They will do the same to a sexual violence survivor from Ukraine if they manage to find out who it is and where she is. So we need the bridge that omits Poland. We need a way to get people out of Poland if they need assistance, that they won't have to use the assistance that we have here. Of course, we have here Abortion Without Borders provided already hundreds of abortion services to Ukrainian newcomers since the war started. But it's such a huge risk for those people coming to Poland. And of course, also it's very hard for them to find out that these services, that we have the system out of the system, that there is abortion provided, that emergency contraception can be provided. So one thing that we need is direct connection from Western organizations, the safe channels for the survivors to come straight to the countries when abortion is not banned, when the emergency contraception is not banned, and where the medical care after being a survivor of sexual violence in the war won't be connected to face, data, location, and everything else being out in the public, and the campaign raging, the pro-life campaign raging against the survivor. To make sure that this is just a recent news. All the Juris Fundamentalist groups is actually now asking hospitals about the number of abortion on cases of rape, because they want to charge and investigate and haunt all Ukrainian newcomers that manage to get abortion in Polish hospitals. It's happening as we speak. So this is one thing. The second thing that we need to happen, apart from the network that would just make sure that as few people stay in Poland and have to be here if they are survivors, the second thing that we need is we need to put as many abortion pills, as much emergency contraception to Ukraine, to Ukrainian hospitals, to Ukrainian organizations, and that's what we do. We are the drop zone for many foreign partners, and we just send the pills, abortion pills, emergency contraception straight to Ukraine. And the number of those is of course, as you know, is rising. And this is the service that has to be provided. And it also has to be sent to Poland, which is more or less legal, less than more, or straight to Ukraine. Of course, we are sending, and we just stopped analyzing illegality on this long time ago. We don't care. I don't care anymore. I can sign whatever is in front of me to just get these drugs into Ukraine. But this is the situation, and we. Of course, I should also talk about the cases. I should talk about the people who were helped and so on, so on. As you can imagine, we have people coming. As you can imagine, we're trying to provide assistance, and there are many organizations that try to provide assistance. The greatest thing for me now is the fear that at some point we will fail, because the state is the factor in Poland that will haunt these women, will haunt these survivors, will absolutely destroy their lives if they manage to get to them. That's why this is so important. So the coverage is, of course, here, and people are very sympathetic, but the state and the church and the pro-life groups and the fundamentalist groups will make lives of the survivors even more miserable if we let it happen. That's why the Western intervention is so important. I have no problems in saying that in Poland we will fail. We cannot guarantee safety. We cannot protect these people from the state, from the national healthcare system, from the pro-life groups, from the fundamentalists, and from the Catholic Church. That will haunt them and will make a political campaign on them. So this is what I basically came here to say. Please think of or use us as the connection to Ukrainian hospitals, to Ukrainian organizations, to Ukrainian authorities. I will do anything I can to have as few people coming to Poland for assistance, staying in Poland for assistance, because then the risk will be smaller and smaller. We have to people have to be treated in Ukraine, or they have to be treated in countries that don't hate women. Poland is a country that hates women, and this is too hard even for us to guarantee them safety. Thank you.
Marta, thank you very much for your very honest words, and yeah, a little shocking what you are saying, and I think what we really need is just a better network, a network for women and girls, and a network really for helping each other. And yeah, I was a little shocked about your words, but very much for your honesty. Thank you very much for this. So time is running. We just have 8 minutes left. I'm so sorry about it, but we have to leave this room here because we had to change the room because of the technical problems we had. So I just want to pick up the one question from Christina to Boris about the sexual assault in the refugee centers. Who were the perpetrators? Wer waren die Täter? So maybe, Boris, if you're still with us, just give us an answer to this question. So Boris, Boris Gilka, still with us? No, maybe we lost him. So anyway, so I give the word to Sarah Delamy from the city of Mannheim, and she just wants to give you a little speech. Sarah, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Frauke. Hello, everybody. I am really so lucky and happy to see you and to have you here in these digital rooms of Mannheim. I just want to say sorry that we have so much technical problems, but you know, that is the first step of our way, and I hope that we see each other again. We would have every presentation, I promise you, really. But just today was really some technical problems. Everybody say we need to work with each other, and I think this would be very important to make this next appointment, We would be love to invite you for the second meeting in June, of course, again with translator and digital room, because that's what everybody say today, show us how important it is to stay with each other in contact and have a togetherness and look and think with each other how we can handle it with this problem. And that is the reason also we have unfortunately 10 to 3 leave this room because other labs are waiting for this technical room. We don't have now how we plan it, lot of rooms, we have just 3. But if it's possible, I would be like to send you invitation, and I would be happy that we come together. Thank you that you're coming to us. Thank you that you're staying with us. Thank you for your presentation, and also the other guests who loves to stay with us in connection. They can we write you an email address in chat, and you can use it and say that you want also to come to next meeting, and we would then invite you also to the appointment. Thank you very much, and love from Mannheim. Okay, Frauke, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much too from my side. I think it was such an interesting meeting, and we had so much. Yeah, it was just great, and I'm so sorry too for the technical problems we had. So maybe we can meet us again. It would be great, and you are all doing really a great job, and it was so interesting just to hear what's happening at your place and what you're doing and about your work. And yeah, so I say goodbye to you all, and have a good time, and yeah, don't stop fighting, Marta, and and go on with this everything, and just working on having networks for women, from women, for women. Have a good time. Bye bye. Thank you very much, and maybe we see us again. Bye bye. Greetings from Mannheim. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.